Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in thumma amma ba'd fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim sabbaha lillahi ma fis samawati wal ard wa huwal azizul hakim rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli amin ya rabbil alameen thumma amma ba'd. Once again everyone, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's together try and understand and try and get to know Surah Al-Hadid, the 57th surah of the Quran. This is the first of the musabbihat. The musabbihat are a series of Madani surahs. They were revealed at a time when the Muslims were feeling a weakness in faith as a result of, a growth in the Muslim community, and some people that had just accepted Islam weren't as mature in their faith as those that had migrated with the Prophet ﷺ. That's not to say everybody who came into Islam in Medina is weak, but a good number had not truly understood the gravity of the matter and the seriousness of the matter. So what Allah does in these surahs is He rejuvenates the faith of the Muslim community, and this is the first and the largest of the musabbihat. It's a very, very powerful surah and a remarkable one. This is actually after a long series of Meccan surahs in the Quran, where it's situated, ending with Surah Al-Waqi'ah. And from here, 57 all the way to 66 are all Madani surahs that continue. This is the last large group of Madani surahs in the entire Quran, and this is the first of them. The thing that I'd like to share with you about the surah is how beautifully, to remember its subject matter, one of the easiest ways is again to look at how it's organized. And you can look at it as divided into 5 passages, 5 distinct passages. But instead of telling you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'll actually tell you how the correspondences work inside these passages. The first passage, made up of 6 ayat, is actually a description of Allah and what you need to understand who God is, who Allah is, how everything declares His perfection, how He's the first and the last, how He owns all kingdom and dominion over all of existence. Lahu mulku samawati wal ard wa ila Allahi turja'ul umur. To Him all matters are going to be returned. He's the one who pours the night into the day and the day into the night. This passage almost sounds like you're being introduced to Allah for the first time, even though this is a Madani surah. The idea of it is to revive your faith in Allah. And contrasting this, if you travel to the 5th passage of this surah, the last part of this surah, you'll notice a theme recurring over and over again, dominating that passage, is faith in Allah's messengers. So Allah will say, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. We sent our messengers with the clearest proofs. لِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرُهُ وَرُسُلَهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. So that Allah may know who aids Him and aids His messengers without from the unseen. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ. We sent as messengers Noah and Abraham. وَقَفَّيْنَا عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ بِرُسُلِنَا وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْإِنْجِيلَ وَقَفَّيْنَاهُ بِعِيسَى بْنِ مَرْيَمَ وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْإِنْجِيلَ. We reinforced them with many other messengers, like Jesus the son of Mary, and we gave him the gospel. And then, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَآمِنُوا بِرَسُولِهِ. Concluding all of it, have taqwa of Allah and have faith in His messenger. What I'm getting at is faith in Allah is section 1 and faith in His messenger is section 5, and between the two of them is going to be the other 3 remaining passages. The interesting thing also you'll notice is that faith in Allah is actually something that is inside of the hearts, and faith in the messenger is only manifest when you obey the messenger. It's practical in nature, and you'll see that dichotomy inside the surah as well. So now let me get you to the second passage. This second passage is a mix of 2 things. 2 things. The first of those things is your faith. And the second of those things is spending in the path of Allah. And the way those 2 things play together in this passage is Allah talks exhaustively about spending. Believe in Allah and as a result spend from whatever He's given you. And later on He'll say, what's wrong with you? You don't send Allah tunfiqu fi sabilillah, ma lakum alla tunfiqu fi sabilillah. And then He'll say, man dhal ladhi yuqridu Allah qardan hasana. Who will give Allah a good loan, a beautiful loan. And in the middle of all this conversation about spending, in the heart of it is actually believing. هو الذي ينزل على عبده آيات مبينات ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور. So the revelation has come to you, so you can believe in it, and it can pull you out of darknesses into light. So what I'm trying to say is the second passage is dominated by spending, and the root of spending, what is going to give you the courage, the strength, the will to spend is going to be your faith. That's the second passage. If you travel to the second last passage, you'll find the opposite. You'll find secure your heart, seek forgiveness from Allah, strengthen your faith. Don't let your heart become hard. فَقَسَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. Their hearts had become hard, the people who came before. سَابِقُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Race to earn forgiveness from your master. This is all about securing your faith and earning forgiveness. And in the middle of that, one mention at the heart of that one is the opposite, is actually spending in the path of Allah. إِنَّ الْمُصَّدِّقِينَ وَالْمُصَّدِّقَاتِ وَأَقْرَضُوا اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا. So what I'm trying to get at it is in the second passage you had spending, faith, spending. That's how it was organized. And the exact opposite, now you've got faith spending faith. That's how so the two are so intertwined together. Allah makes that same point about how inseparable those two things are. My faith and my charitability are inseparable from each other, and He makes that point in both organizations, in the second passage and in the fourth passage. That leaves only one passage, and that's the middle passage of this surah. Right? So the first and the last were connected, and the second and the fourth were connected, leaving right down to the middle. And the middle is one of the most unique places in the entire Quran, describing something about Judgment Day that has not been described anywhere else like this. It's describing what's going to happen to people who thought they believed, but they didn't really believe, and they resurrected on Judgment Day around other true, sincere believers, but they noticed that everybody else around them has light shining from their front and their right hand. By the way, يَسْعَى نُورُهُمْ بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ. Their light outstretches from right in front of them and their right. What that suggests is the light of their faith and the light of the right of their hands, their deeds. What's the faith? It's already been talked about in the surah. What's the hand? It's the hand that's charitable, the one that gave, the one who spent, And so these people they wake up, and they're waking up with light in front of them and their right hand, and as a result of that light, they're able to make their way towards heaven. And you're standing among them, and you can't see that you have any light. So you call on them, ذَرُونَا نَقْتَبِسْ مِن نُورِكُمْ. Wait for us, give us a chance, let's catch your light, let us take advantage of your light. And they're told, قِيلَ ارْجِعُوا وَرَاءَكُمْ فَالْتَمِسُوا نُورًا. Go back behind yourselves, return behind yourselves, find some light yourselves. You can't have ours. What a dramatic scene. But these people cry out, we can't just go back. There's no going back now. So they try to catch up to the believers. And a wall is dropped. فَضُرِبَ بَيْنَهُمْ بِسُورٍ لَهُ بَابٍ. A massive wall, an inscalable wall is dropped between them that has a door to it. And the one side of it is mercy, which means the path to heaven. And now it's secure, because those people, even if they look back, they're not going to be dragged back to anything. There's a wall there securing them. But the people on the wrong side of that wall, وَظَاهِرُهُ مِنْ قِبَلِهِ الْعَذَابِ. The back side of it, the side that's manifest, is actually right before it is punishment headed your way. So they cry out, أَلَمْ نَكُمْ مَعَكُمْ. Weren't we with you? And they're told, you were, but وَلَكِنَّكُمْ فَتَنْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. You put yourselves in trial. وَتَرَبَّصْتُمْ وَارْتَبْتُمْ. You procrastinated, you fell into doubt. وَغَرَّتْكُمُ الْأَمَانِ. Your false hopes filled you up. حَتَّى جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ. Until the decision of Allah came. وَغَرَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ. And the ultimate deceiver deceived you. So this diagnosis of how a person who has faith, just completely, trashes it and loses it, and ends up becoming a loser on Judgment Day, may Allah not make us from them, is right in the middle. This entire scene of protecting one's light, the only thing that's going to save us on Judgment Day is that light. Everything else in the surah, faith in Allah, faith in the Messenger, securing your faith and spending, seeking forgiveness and spending, all of it is there to protect that light in the middle. And so you'll appreciate what happens in the last ayah of the surah. It's so beautiful that Allah sums everything up, everything in the surah in one ayah. The concluding ayah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Those of you who believe. Ittaqullah. Be cautious of Allah. Remember, the first passage was about Allah. Wa aminu bi rasulihi. And believe in His messenger. Remember, the last passage was about the messenger. And then He says, yu'tikum kiflayni min rahmatihi. If you were to do that, He will give you 2 portions of His mercy. وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ نُورًا. By the way, you give portions, Allah is giving you portions. When you spend, Allah is spending on you. وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ نُورًا تَمْشُونَ بِهِ. And He'll put a light for you that you can walk in. SubhanAllah. The second last ayah of the surah sums everything up. Just a whole scene that the surah paints has been drawn up together. And then Allah is telling us that we shouldn't become like the people of the book. لِأَلَّا يَعْلَمَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ أَلَّا يَقْدِرُونَ عَلَى شَيْءٍ مِّن فَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَأَنَّ الْفَضْلَ بِيَدِ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ ذُو الْفَضْلِ الْعَظِيمِ. That the favor of Allah falls upon whoever Allah wants. This surah teaches many things, and one of them I'd like you to walk away with is that Allah's favor falls upon anyone. You don't say about yourself, well, this is about good people, I'm not good people. Or, this is about people that are much better than myself, I've made way too many mistakes. Nobody is beyond the favor of Allah, and He grants it to whoever He wants. If it's late or early, don't become of the people who, when Judgment Day comes, it's said about them, وَتَرَبَّصْتُمْ. You guys procrastinated. You knew you were messed up. You could have turned around. You refused to. You just decided to take more time. This surah is giving us a sense of urgency that even we can become those who fall under the great favor of Allah. May Allah include all of us within His favor. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.